Sometimes if white has somewhere else he wants to play, he can play away at some point, play a tenuki at some point in that variation. So black invaded. So this is he set this move up by playing here. So that was keeping his promise there. And this is where white was taking black's eyes away. So if white had continued like this, then at any point black could play here or here. And so black had a connection there on the second line. So white was trying to attack black while hoping to make some eyes for the white group. Okay, so yeah. So here, this is an interesting trade. So black could have played here, or black could have pushed here. I probably would have pushed. But with this, it's not really clear what he's trying to do with this move. If white had answered, maybe he could have pushed once or twice. Excuse me?
The connect, right?
The move at M15.
Yeah.
It's not clear to me what the idea is. It could be that he was, even in this variation, I don't see exactly why it was necessary to do that. So it did give white an opportunity to cool things down by playing here. Okay, so because all of white's stones connected up, and because the black group is, it sort of has two ways to move out in the center. So there's some white's position here. There's some potential for black to break through, and also black is out on this side. So his group is pretty healthy at this point in the game, and that's why he played away. So I think it's reasonable for black to play away. White cutting at P6, it was an issue, so he's dealt with that. For time being, it might be a ladder, actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if white cuts at P now, it looks... that's a tricky ladder.
Is that a special ladder, Michael? A tricky ladder?
Yep, it's a tricky ladder. I wonder if it works. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it works. Let's try the ladder. My mind is slow today, and
welcome to my world.
So I'll just... I always enjoy doing this.
I always do. This is the way I do it in my game.
Okay, so if black continues playing normally like this, so this is where I said it was tricky. If black just does the ladder thing, this is going to escape. So this would be the end of the game. But at this point, black can change the direction of the ladder just a little bit. And this way it falls into the net here.
Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah. So he just had to push once at G13, just changing the line of the ladder just a little bit.
I would never see that last bit.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what sort of made me hesitate. But actually, it's not an issue, because if the ladder is bad, black could just do it this way, and it would still be bad for white.
Well, okay, that's easy.
Yeah, that's the easy way. Okay, let's get back to the game. Okay, so white curled around. White is trying to put some pressure on black on the top side. So that's what's happening in this local fight. And this is actually where I think black messed up. So black played here. You can see white closing off from the center. And black's connection here seems just a little bit unsure. So I'm just going to fast forward, I guess, about 20 moves and show you what the local result was. So I'm just going to go quickly here, and we'll talk about the moves later. So yeah, white got some extra territory on the top side. All that black got was a capture of 3 stones here, which was like it was 4 or 5 points worth. About 5 points. And black didn't even manage to cut any white stones off. And there's still a cut here. So this was a very bad variation for black. So this was the game. So if he was going to do that, he might as well have just played here.
Huh.
This would have been tons better.
Wow.
I actually looked at this position with Karago. and it wanted to play here. So I would never. This is a scary move because black's not connected up yet, but he's threatening an attachment at n12. So I don't. It was this move, or it was otherwise. It was pushing through here right now, which would be Sente right now. So you can see the idea seems to be that black has potential to attack white, and if white answers here, black's going to peep again, and then eventually play here. So I wouldn't have been able to do it this way. So I have to admit this is not my idea. If it works like this, obviously it's really good for black because black's getting something extra in this, some potential in this area and on the right side generally, while forcing white to connect there. I don't really see that working for me. So I would be happy just to play here. And this would be way better than the game.
People are wondering about attacking the center. Is that really possible, do you think?
You mean with the other variation I was showing?
Yeah.
So the point is, I don't really see it. So like if we have white play something like, say here, black can cut white off here.
Right.
There's a wedge at P12. So in this variation, white does have to defend on this side too. And I don't really see they're like, sometimes black can do this. And this would be a trade. Maybe something like this.
It's a big corner.
It's a big corner. This would be a reasonable trade, I guess. But it's just the whole situation. Like you can imagine that maybe at some point in this variation, white's going to play this exchange. And then you have to figure out something else to do about the center. And it could be challenging. Like I don't see how I would get out of this. So that's why I'm saying I'm making a point of the fact that it's really not the way I would handle it.
Sure.
Yeah. So like I could imagine black surviving. Okay. With a variation like that, but you can see what it's doing to the corner.
Oof.
The corner might survive too because black does have a cut here. So it gets very messy and hard to judge, difficult to judge the profit or loss of what's going on here. So that would, in this case, this actually is probably good for black. So maybe I've proved Kadawa's point because this group here doesn't have two eyes. So this is maybe a success for black. So maybe that's the general idea. So it does turn out to be fairly difficult for white to be cutting that black group off, because if white does it this way, so say something like this, now the white group, it does have some issues. So for instance, like this or like this. It's just that the execution is going to be so difficult for black. And also black does have things like this. So this would be a life or death struggle.
Oh dear.
So for what that's worth, I don't know.
Yeah,
I can see myself crashing in this variation. So like ideally, like you would have white answering here, and that would be, black would be really happy about that. But I think that like the difference between that and this one is pretty subtle anyway. So you, for human players, I think this one is okay.
Well,
it's probably a fraction of a point difference. So this for this exchange already, black's losing points. Just so now I'm going to start breaking down. I guess I'm going to try to break down all the mistakes. So this is losing points because as far as the left side is concerned, like if black had just added a stone here, then black would be looking at moves like this or moves like this, or maybe something even more adventurous. There's a whole wide open area there on the left side where black can accomplish something. So that loses most of that.
So what you're saying, I think, is that connecting looks slow, but actually it just gives black pretty much complete freedom of movement after it has nothing to worry about, right?
Right. And so like it's The difficulty of playing this move is that it's definitely not an efficient move. Like it looks like black wants to try to find a way to do something a bit more efficient. But he just had to make a solid connection there.
I like it.
So yeah, so this lost points. It's a struggling move. Attaching at e13, it's already struggling. And then he plays. This is also tends to be a struggling move, and he's trying to get a squeeze out of it. Okay, so the squeeze was a ko, and he used up his ko threat here. Like so, he played this move, but he doesn't have a ko threat. It probably wouldn't have been big enough anyway because there's a lot of damage involved in this ko. So the ko doesn't work for black. So black had to connect maybe, in which case he would have been okay. So here, 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 something like this. The problem is that black is still not linked up. And when white plays this move at k17, it does add, so if white gets a stone, so at some point, black can handle that by playing this move, but there was a weakness in the connection there. So there's a slight weakness, and he eventually will need to play this move too. Black has no eyes. So you can see the way he linked up here, in the end, it was less efficient.
Well, but Michael, I'm just noticing your move is just looking so good because black winds up connecting, but in the most, I don't know, it just seems really
so painful.
The hardest way, yeah, painful. Exactly, great word, painful. Yeah. Right, like that move is boom, done.
Right, it's so much easier. There's nothing special that's going to happen after this move locally. So like it would be nice if black could find some neat move attacking white's sort of loose shape on the top. There's nothing happening there really, but it's just that black needed to play that one stone.
Wow.
And in general, if we look at the game, black's got 3 corners. So black is taking a lot of territory. White's wall here, it's not really facing an area that's going to be a big white territory.
Right,
so the game is not decided at this point. It depends on white's territory on the left side. It has 2 weaknesses. So there's the black stone here, which there's various moves I've already shown you where black can start moving from that stone and get some territory on the side. And there's also this thing here where black can slide into white's territory. So it's sort of difficult for white to make much of that territory. White has a potential territory on the bottom side here. White needs to add a stone, and that will be a territory. The problem with that is that there's always this cut here. So like if white plays a move on the 4th line, black can cut here, and it looks a bit painful for white to try to crawl along the 2nd line, doesn't it? So this would be This would be very difficult for white to get a good result out of this. It looks like what's most of the territory. So white's general plan, white's default plan is to play from this side. When black does that, it means that the bottom side isn't so big either. So like if white wants to save those stones while surrounding the bottom side, it's a move something like this. And then white needs one more move. And because if black plays here, if black plays something like this, black can reduce the bottom side. So black does have a significant amount of territory. And the game seems to be undecided. So all of this was very painful. I think, yeah, that's my variation, which was painful also. But yeah. And just getting the 3 stones, that's not really enough. So black's not connected to the corner. It's going to be okay because now black has some eyes. So at any point, if white cuts here, if black plays, this is going to be a forcing move. If black works at it, he can eventually get a... for the time being, it looks like it might be a false eye. If black really wants to make an eye there, he can find ways. So it's not likely that this black is going to get into trouble. For the time being, black would just extend, and white would have to deal with that eye too. So, sorry. My hands are somehow slippery today. But yeah, so trying to kill this black group is probably not a very good idea for white. It's not going to work. So the black group is okay. But it's just that all of the moves that black has played in this whole fight were worthless.
Ow.
Except for the maybe 5 points. He got something like 5 points out of this capture here. But he's losing something more like 10 points on the top side. So it was very painful. I think this is, I would like to think that this is where black lost the game. But it got really exciting after this.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move forwards. So yeah, so you can see black has trashed the left side. White is hoping for some territory in the center. Oh yeah, this is where the game record split. Okay, so they got into this fight. Yeah. I think Katago wanted white to connect here. This is an extremely complicated fight. So black might play like this. It's sort of hard to say exactly what's going to happen here. So it's a dangerous fight.
We're counting on from you, Michael.
Yeah. So I can understand white avoiding that. And the game is undecided at this point. It's still undecided. Black, it's still okay for black. Black gained something with this pawn in the center. So yeah, black did gain in this fight. So white probably should have played here. Although, yeah, to be frank, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe white could escape this way. This way, white's connected up. And so, but yeah, it's still hard to say how this is going to turn out. White would like to be able to cut here. Let's just do this one once more. So maybe something like this. But black does have, let's see, how does black, maybe black can play here. Looks like black has a potential connection there.
Looks like a Tsuchi.
No, that one didn't work. Like this. So it's going to be a ko. So I got you a ko so far. So that's idea number one. Idea number two would be for black to play this exchange, threatening to connect up on the side, and then play here. Now black's connected. And this doesn't really work. So like if white plays this way, it's going to be a ko. If white plays this way, it's just not working. So it's a scary fight for white. I just don't know. So he backed out of it. I can understand that. It looks like it's going to be an endgame. Okay. So white's trying to attack black here with this move. So this was probably an overplay. White should have just played a normal endgame. It's probably still okay for white if white had not done that. This was a bit unreasonable. And this was a terrible move. This was the losing move.
Really?
Yeah. So with this move, okay. So if black had played this way, it didn't really help black as far as eyes were concerned. So like if black had played this way, this time he's going to push through here.
Got it. Okay.
What's more, he has this peep here.
Yes.
And what's more, so black has one eye on the side. Black's going to, instead of doing that, black's going to play here first. So black has an eye on the side. Black has this move, which is a headache for white. What is white going to do about this? So if white plays here, white has multiple problems. So like this way, white would be losing these two stones. And that's bad because black cuts here. White is the one who has a lot of problems. And as I said, black has one eye on the right side. So if we assume some white managed to squeeze out of this and get something like this, I don't see black really getting into trouble in the center. Like it's the white group that is being under attack. So black's going to be able to make, if black does it, handles it right, black has a potential eye in this area, which means that at any point, black can play here, and should be able, like for instance, if black plays here and here, that's the second eye. So in the case that black manages to survive here, this was a huge disaster for white, because all of the white territories in the general area have been decimated. They virtually just disappeared, the white territories. So white had some potential area here.
Mm-hmm.
White had more area here. White had some potential in the center, and it's everything is gone. So the more white tries to kill black, the more white territory is going to disappear. So that's why I'm saying that this was an overplay. And I did look at the score, and I think Katago was saying that white has a small lead. It's going to be an end game. For human players, I'd say it's still undecided. So black lost a lot of points on the top side, but came back with the Ponnoki in the center, making it a undecided game. So it's undecided. So yes, if black had played this move, not only would he have that potential eye on the right side, but the pushing move at P. So if white answers this side, it doesn't really matter what black does, but it's the white stones that are black is making the threats here, because now that black is threatening this, at any point black is threatening to push through here. And all of that disappeared when white covered here. So white's group is healthy now, and white is threatening to push through here. And now black only has black's eye on the left side. Let's see. He still has an eye on the left side, but he doesn't have any leverage in the center because white's linked up there. So that's the biggest difference. And now he plays there, so there's no point of playing that move now. But yeah, not to be nasty about that. He just didn't have any good options. So after this, what black was trying to do was he was trying to force white to play here, and to try to get something happening here. So it was, the bottom line is that black could not see how to make a second eye with this. I guess this would be my best bet. And if white plays on the outside, this would live. So black does have, it turns out black does have an eye here.
Wow.
So it's just the difference in the territory.
I was looking at that during the game, and I could not find it.
So like if white does something like this, then there's the question of whether or not black survives here. So maybe something like this. I would say it's sort of borderline. But black does eventually need to have some kind of Aji on this side. So that's what he was thinking about when he played this kind of ko-move, because he's thinking of, for instance, a variation like this,
Mm-hmm.
where he wants to be able to cut white off on this side. So he eventually needs to play this ko at some point. So I think the only question here is the timing of this ko,
Mm-hmm.
but the fight was already getting difficult for black. So if we say white plays here and here, this is also a borderline. But if white pushes through and cuts, yeah. So this one is actually working for black. So this would be an interesting trade, but this would be good for black. This would be a win for black.
Yeah.
Even just the local trade is good for black, but black's getting the whole left side too.
Mm.
So that's why I was showing white pulling back here, and this does become an issue. So in any case, it's going to be a question of the co-threats, which black doesn't have any co-threats. So that's the big problem, is that black doesn't really have any co-threats.
I mean, they'd have to be pretty damn big.
Yeah. So he played the ko now, and it's just not. White didn't have to answer any of that because this is a quarter of the board. Yeah, so white's just playing very. White ignored the left side just because white knew that if he captured this black group, he was winning. So he sort of made Miai when black made a second threat here. So it was this move. Black's trying to start something that might you might imagine that eventually, if white plays this way, there's nothing wrong with playing here. But you might sort of imagine that if something started up on the left side, maybe it would affect the center. In actual play, it doesn't really. It's not going to work. But he was just searching for something, and white's just saying, there's 2 big points. So there's L19 and there's B8. White can win by taking either one of those. So that was his. I wouldn't call it, strictly speaking, a correct way of playing, but it was the safe way of playing. So that's the end of the game. Let's just take it to the end. Okay, so they finished the game. Did they count it?
Good question.
Looks like it was a resignation.
I think it was a resignation. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. Good fighting.
It was over when white killed. So that was exciting. So just to recap, it was let's see. So yeah, I was showing that variation. So in the opening, it seemed to be fairly even. Yeah, so the first move I had issue with was this one. Probably not a big problem. Yeah, so it was the first real problem was the fight here, where black sort of just, let's just say black should have played here. Like I know that Kadago was saying that black should play something like this. Personally, I don't feel capable of playing that move, so I'm going to say black should have played at G16. And I'd say black has plenty of territory. If I were playing with black in this position, I would feel reasonably confident. Like I would be comfortable that the game was at the very least undecided.
So 2 things. One is I'll ask Ryan about it later. Bill Lin, who's leading, I think 3-1 at this point. That looks like the kind of move that Bill would play. Bill plays very solid. He had a game yesterday. He won by half a point. I found out later. He said, "Well, I probably could have won by 4 or 5, but I knew I could win by half a point." And been playing it really, really solid. And but I think Ryan might, if he saw the Katago move, I think he might play that move. He might like that. He and Michael like to. They're good friends. They might like to play something like that. I'll ask them.
Well, that move would not. It could lead to a huge fight. We're talking about. We're talking about this move, right? Let's see. I have the variation. This one. No, that one.
Something 10 and 10.
This one. Yeah. I think it actually, to be precise, I think it wanted black to play this one first and then here.
Right.
But that was like, maybe it would change if I let it run for a while. It does sometimes change with more playouts. But yeah. So this is a move where black is making a threat at N12. So attacking black would be scary for white too. So it would be undecided.
Right. Well, good game. Before we go to the next one, Phil Strauss. I was talking to Phil earlier today, and he wanted me to ask you. These are all North American professionals, and he was curious if you have a sense of how they would compare to professionals. Like how would a 4-dan American pro compare to, say, a 4-dan Japanese pro?
Okay, I think it's very similar to comparing a highly active pro to a less active pro, because I think the biggest difference between them and Asian pros is they're not spending as much time playing serious games against strong players. So, for instance, in the Asian tournament setup, if you win even 2 or 3 games, you're already playing against some fairly formidable players. And now the tournaments are seeded, so people are seeded in the tournaments. If you're doing well, you get to play the top pros. So it becomes very challenging, and these are very valuable experiences. So players like this get to play the strongest pros maybe once a year, something like that, when they come to the Asian international tournaments. And so the fact that they're limited it makes them in their experience, it makes them less reliable. So like it's not that they don't play good games. It means that there's a higher percentage of mistakes that a more active player would not make.
Got it. That
So
totally.
like if they play at their best, I'd say they're equal to similar players in Asia, professionals that is. But they just don't play that game every time, so they make mistakes. So the kind of the what happened in this board position, I think that's kind of an example where, like in the Japanese tournaments, you probably would not see anyone doing something like that. It was the kind of floundering around. So it's and I'd say this is probably unusual for Ryan too. To he was sort of I get the feeling he was at a loss of finding a good move, and he was not. His gut feeling was that maybe this was not good enough, and so he started to struggle. So you don't see this so much with players who are at the top levels.
Got it. So let's do this. We're going to switch games. So I'm going to let people take a look at the playing room for a moment.
You mentioned Bill Lin.
I did.
Is that the one you want me to do?
Yeah. Can we bring that game up? And if you can share that link.
The link I can send it to. So I'll send it to you in OGS or here.
You can actually put it. There's a message right in the video thing. If you.
Do you see that?
Where did you put it?
Did the message go?
I'm not. Did you do it in the
In the chat?
Yeah, in the chat here.
And you just sent me something.
Yeah, so if you can put it there, then I can grab it and I can switch them out.
Well, I think I sent it. I'll try again.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Oh, there it is. No, I see it. Definitely got
Okay,
it.
good.
Let me copy that. Okay, switch the board. It's a little, doing this stuff is a little bit like a Go game. There are.
Yeah, so you have to give me control.
I do.
So you just click on my name.
Yeah.
So you can bring that up from the lower right corner, and my name is Nindon.
There we go. You have control.
Okay, I have control. Okay, so you should see an empty board now.
Okay, and hold on one sec. I'm going to, and the players, let me just change those. Do you have your T? T. Alex and Bill. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Ready?
yeah. I'm ready.
All right, and
Okay.
we are back. Oh, Michael, you know what? You're a little bit to the right. So I think if you move to your left, there you go. That is perfect. Perfect.
Great.
Good. All right, we're back, and this is Alex and Bill. Bill, of course, going into this was 3-0. As I understand the standings, there was a long discussion afterwards. If he wins tomorrow's round, he should collect the top prize. But if he loses, things get interesting. That's what.
Okay, yeah.
So it's an important.
So Bill Lin is the White Stones.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And just the same to folks that are watching, if you have questions or comments, I'm monitoring the chat. And I will relay those to Michael.
Great.
Okay, over to you, Michael.
Okay, I already put a few stones on the board. There's nothing special about this opening. So Black played one Kakari at R5, and then Kakari against the star point. popular joseki here. Okay, so this is a point where black could have extended. This would have been, and white would probably play some kind of a pincer. So black played the honey instead, and white got to capture in a ladder. And in return, black got to play the
extension. Run the ladder out, Michael.
No, I don't think I need to do it this time.
I'm teasing.
Well, just a hint for the Q players or weaker players. When you have a ladder like this, and there's a star point in the corner, you just take it close to the tengen. So if it hits this move, if it hits this point, it's going to hit the star point.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So if it doesn't hit this point, it's not going to hit the star point.
Somebody was just saying, let me just tell you, Michael, because you'll be happy to hear this, that your YouTube channel has great videos for common corner sequences. So,
okay, great.
Yeah, check it out.
Maybe he's talking about some of the joseki videos I put out.
I think so.
Those were maybe a year or so before. Another useful fact to know is it's not so common nowadays, but if you have the Sanrensei on the left side, this serves to block all of the ladders. So if you have Sanrensei, you don't have to read the ladder.
Works for me.
Provided you're the one escaping. So, of course, if you're capturing the ladder, of course, you don't have to worry about the ladder anyway. Okay, so in return for giving white the ladder there, black did get to play this extension. So I'd say that was a trade. And white played here. So as I expected, white's score went down when white played here. So so the reason is that you're not supposed to capture like this. It's a waste. We used to call it a honte, or the proper move, or the correct move. White's supposed to play something like this. And if black plays a move that's going to break the ladder, white's going to play something in the center like this. So basically capturing it like that is thought to be slightly wasted, and it's not participating enough in the fight on the left side. So for instance, if we have something like this, you can see how this stone at G11 is participating in the fight that's developing on the left side. Or even if white plays on the top. So if white wants to play safe, white can play something on the top. And again, it's participating. It's closing off the center. So it's a more active move. And anywhere in the end, white can play a more, so like if black to be like in this case, the black stone is not so valuable, right? So white wants to make black's forcing move less valuable. Anything to the right of this stone is not going to be as valuable as the marked white stone. Usually in this board position, white's controlling the top half of the board anyway. So anything in that direction, white should be ready to welcome black invading that area. And there's nothing going to be as valuable as this white stone. So this is something that we learned from AIs after AlphaGo, but it's something that I can agree with. I can understand it intuitively, you might say. So this move, it was just capturing the ladder was slow. And then this move, I don't agree with this move either. This is the kind of move that, like, you would get, your teacher would get physical with you if you play this move. What?
Go ahead, say it. I can see you're trying to think about it.
We would just say, you got to go home if you play this kind of move, because white is surrounding the susuaki. The open skirt is the old word we used to talk about this white area. It's just an open on the side area. It's not worth it. So like, if you're going to play a kakari, you play from this side, pushing black towards white's influence. The lower side is pretty big in this game. So I think later white played here. So this is a big move. Or one of these two. I would have trouble choosing between these two moves. I'd probably play the wide extension. And you can see this area on the bottom side. Sometimes white can add a stone here. This would be a kind of a forcing move. And white could add a stone here. And you can see the potential for this area to be spreading out into the center, and potentially, like if white, I'm using the wrong tools here, but like if you imagine a position like this, you can see it spreading out in the center and combining with that influence that white has on the top side to make a very kind of a formidable center area for white. So white has this potential, and because of that, this is going to limit. So black's going to have to deal with that quickly. So like if black just plays big territorial moves, then the game is going to go in that direction. So you can actually see something like this happening almost immediately. And every move that white is playing here is not just defending the bottom side, but it has potential towards the center. So it makes the moves an efficient way for white to continue the game. So in actual play, you might see black immediately attacking this. But the fact that black has to invade here, it does limit the way black's going to continue the game, because now black has to take care of this group. And it's still undecided. So it's a reasonably, it's not as if this is bad for black, but it's better for white than the game. So I don't like white playing here. White really wants to get away from the top side. So jumping into the 3-3 point here, white can't really play away, but jumping into the 3-3 point is something that white could have done. And a trade like this, at least the direction is good for white in this case. So this would be, white would be going in the right direction. The thing is, with younger players who have grown up with AIs, the AI doesn't punish F17 as much as we would traditionally. So professional players really have, traditionally we have, well, in the 20th century, players would have a strong aversion to surrounding the open skirt. So the top side is called the open skirt because it's open on the side. Black has that slide at L19. It degrades the amount of territory white can get by turning that into a territory. And so the trade of the top side for black's potential on the left side is a loss for white. And so we would be very negative about white's choice here. AI is not to the same degree. So AIs are more, they allow players to do this sometimes, but I think it's still bad in this case. Okay, you can see white doing the same kind of thing. So white is building the bottom side, and I agree with that. It's just that this whole exchange here, when white is trying to do something towards the center, that was just negative. It was, even in this position, if we take away the 3 white stones and the 3 black stones.
Let me just ask a kind of a goofy question, and it may be just sort of my instinct is that the white position on the right is really thick, right? Especially after
very strong.
Yeah, after white took that move that he shouldn't have taken, but he did take it. You don't want to extend from a strong position, right? You actually want to use that to attack, don't you? That's
what we would say. So that's the human interpretation of why you should not play at F17. That's one of the, it's not only over concentrated, but as I said, there's the end game move here, which makes it a smaller area. So there's 2 reasons not to do that. That was a good point. You made a good point there when you said that it was playing from a strong position. It was, I guess it was so obvious I forgot to say that, but that's also important.
That's what I'm here for, is to state the obvious.
Well, if you state the obvious and you're right, that's doing fairly well. Okay, so here, if I were white, I might have chosen this one. So the advantage of this move is that next white can play here and here and here. So white has more potential to building towards I guess I would say it's the top side or the center on that side of the, and the negative aspect of a bit of a hole here, it's not really a big issue. So sometimes it becomes a problem when black gets stones in here. Sometimes black has one forcing move here. It's not as big an issue as the fact that white gets some extra potential on this side. So I like this move better. I like it better than the game move, but this move, the advantage of this move is white is sometimes white's making a threat here. So let's see, where did black play? Black played here. So if white pushes through and cuts here, there's the question of what happens with this. So there's this where white has, was that too fast?
No.
So
It's I was just trying to read it.
white curls here. Black has two choices here. So if black plays here, we get my favorite Tesuji.
Oh, that's a cool name for this, right?
The stone pillar.
The stone pillar.
This stone pillar is a very tall stone pillar. So the pillar part is this.
Yeah.
And the base is these 6 stones. And this is the shape when you do this squeeze.
Yeah.
This is the shape that you get.
Really good to know.
And it's the shape of a Japanese gravestone.
Oh, which has a really cool name. What's it called?
So they have this base where the remains are, they usually cremate their deceased. So the remains are in this stone, which is a container. And then they have a pillar which has the family name and stuff like that written on it.
Yes. So
and white wins by 1 move, by the way.
When you go in Japanese cemeteries, that's what you see is all of the.
You can see a lot of those stone pillars.
Yeah.
So it's the gravestone. If we compare it to a Christian gravestone, it's sort of thinner and a bit taller, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. Not quite this tall. This is an unusually long stone pillar.
It's a rich person's stone pillar.
Yeah. Okay, so white won that one. If black extends here, now white has a lot of liberties and black has only 4. So if black just goes for the semi, white's going to win easily. There's a great deal of aji here, but it looks like white's probably going to be able to win. And what's more, white's group in the corner is alive. So all white has to do is stop black from making 2 eyes. So there is this issue. So it's making a threat. And that's what makes this move potentially okay to play. No, he didn't do that though. Yeah, so white extended. So black was trying to play 2 forcing moves. So usually you would consider these 2 moves as forcing moves where white would be expected to extend here. This just demonstrates the point I've been trying to make. All of these stones, it's apart from the start point, which was there to start with, black got 5 stones while white got these 5 stones. So it's a question of which of these sets of 5 stones is more valuable. And I say it's clear in this board position that the black stones are more valuable because white's surrounding something that looks like about 15 points on the top side from a group that was strong already. While black is not only getting the left side, but black is reducing white's potential in the center.
Well, and plus the viewers are really just loving black structure on the left.
So this is where white decided that white tried to avoid this result. White realized that it was over concentrated and played here. So white's trying to get out of that. Okay. So white won the ko. All right. So with this move, this is an efficient way for black to deal with the threat here because it's sort of getting rid of that. And if white answers here, then black gets to extend. If white doesn't, then sometimes black can push through and cut. But bumping against here, it was a bit of a painful way for white to deal with that. So usually you want to try to find something a bit more efficient because if black plays here, black's shape on the right side, it's not so good. So there's still the threat of pushing through it R7 and cutting on somewhere on the second line. And so if white had played here, white's group in the corner would have been okay. It's not going to die. So that's why white needed that stone there. And it would be a more efficient way for white to play than the game move, which was a bit too defensive. Okay.
White has kind of funky shape, doesn't it?
Well, after playing at R4, white is alive in the corner. But it's just that black is very efficient.
Yeah.
Black is being very efficient here. I don't get this move. This is a very weird move. There's no reason. I think it.
Is that a
Are they playing
technical
on
term, Michael?
computers? Because it looks like a click miss. Why not just take the stone?
Maybe trying to
Black's
get a
going to
little bit
play.
more.
There's no way Black's going to start a ko where Black is trying to make an area. So I'd say that this would be a bit unreasonable. So Black's going to play down, right? If White cuts here, Black's
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah.
maybe Black's going to connect, but there's going to be a potential forcing move here now, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Black's going to sacrifice again. So White's getting some points here, some real territory with Sente. I don't get this move.
I can't explain it.
It's not forcing. You just have to know that there's this move waiting to happen.
Nice.
So White hasn't accomplished anything. So actually, it would be better for White to play this way, and then White would not crawl at b16.
Just leave it, right?
But of course, it's better to cut here. Why not cut? Yeah. So that was a mistake that I find hard to understand. Like, it doesn't match the level of play. If they were playing on a computer, I would suggest that maybe it was a click miss.
Theory. I mean, this is Bill's fourth round. He's up 3-0. And if he wins this, he pretty much locks up the top prize. Maybe he's just trying to be really, really safe as houses. I haven't talked to him. I'm just theorizing.
Well, yeah, but he's behind at this point, so he shouldn't be playing safe.
I'll ask him tomorrow.
So the story here is that Black has more territory. That's the theme of this game, is that Black has started by being efficient when White played the slow move here, and then White surrounded from thickness, which was open underneath. And in the ko in the top left corner, White refused to play this move because White found that it was inefficient. So White tried for something better, but that was a trade for Black invading the bottom side. So Black didn't lose out in that trade either. So every time they've had some kind of a fight or a trade, Black has gained every time. And now Black is starting to finish the bottom left corner. Okay, so White, that was a nice end game. So here, yeah, I don't see what Black... It looks like Black is trying to kill White in the center. Black didn't really gain anything in this whole thing. So...
it doesn't really need it, right?
So this is big. This is... White gained something like 10 points. And so Black needs to have a convincing attack against the center. At this point, Black didn't need that. So Black could just play something like this. It would have been fine.
Oh my God, it's so simple. Wow.
There's nothing that Black has to do to win the game at this point. There's still a ko here. So if Black plays down here, this is going to be a ko. Maybe it was the ko there that made Black want to do something fancy, because Black needs ko threats for this ko to work. But basically, White has to win the ko at c15 in order to deal with Black a18. So there's a ko there. Maybe Black felt that there would be some potential derived from starting a fight here. It did connect the Black group here, but the Black group was, in this other variation, the Black group was going to be okay anyway. Black already has something that looks like two eyes. So this was a bit heavy-handed, is what I would call it. Yeah, heavy-handed. But Black's winning anyway. Black has more territory. So White's dealing with all the threats and is just behind in territory. I think that's the basic story here. You see this Black group here. This was one of Black's weakest groups. So the way that Black found ways to add stones to that and turn it into a 10 or so point territory, that was something that weaker players should learn from. So it's always important to strengthen the weak groups when strong players play endgame. So, for instance, the really important move was this extension here. But even when Black played this extension at R11, there was still some uncertainty about how this Black group is going to turn out. So in the following fight, you see Black periodically, like this move here at 07, when black played at 07, black was prompting white to play at q8. So the idea is if black plays at 07, and then if black gets another move at q8, then black would have a good position there. So it's sort of forcing white to play this move, which reinforces black on the right side. So black is, as the endgame proceeds, the fact that black is gradually adding stones to this group on the right, that's something you see strong players doing in the endgame. It's more important to look at the strength or the weakness of a group than it is to precisely calculate the value of each move. Okay, so this was a good endgame by white, I suppose. But white's just behind in territory. So was there anything interesting? Let's just go through the game. And yeah. So white resigned. I think it's just at this point, it's the lower left area that's so big, and white doesn't really have anything to compare with it.
Well, almost 50 points, right? More.
Yeah. So black's one of these. Maybe black's ahead by one territory. So one of these small territories on the right side of the board.
Right. Yeah. No, it's so interesting because it's Bill's usual style is just play this very solid with what I used to call like it's
a bit too solid this time, maybe.
Maybe so. Interesting. All right. Well, it makes for interesting things tomorrow.
One thing I've noticed. Let's go back to that Ponuki there. I've noticed, like in my study of Edo games, where they would always play the Ponuki, right? So in this position, they would always. It's actually not a Ponuki because there's that wasted stone here. When you have a stone here, it's not a Ponuki.
That's wasted. Yeah.
But when they play the capture there, you can still make it work if you use that position as thickness. So when you play the other variations where you do stuff like this and like this, it's a lot more active. You do have to remember that white does have a kind of a liability there left behind, and it's going to figure in later on. Black's going to be using that somehow. So like a black move here. The point is that wherever black plays, it's not going to be as valuable as the white stone at G11. But at some point, black is going to play some kind of move there to threaten to escape from the ladder. And when you research with AIs, it gets really interesting because they play all these moves that sort of indirectly involve the ladder, and white finds different ways to capture that black stone and stuff like that. It gets really exciting. The value of playing this way is that it finishes the whole thing. So although the AI will degrade your score if you play this move, it can become a good move if you use that white position as thickness, as you were suggesting. So like if white in the game, if white had played a Kakari from this side, white would be pushing that black group towards the white wall. So if we assume a modern Joseki, something like this, and white invading something like this, or the 3-3 point, there's some potential for that black group to be floating around towards the white thickness and getting into trouble. So there is, if white plays from this side, white can sort of squeeze that black group, and black might actually decide to be a bit more cautious, play a move like this. Bottom side is still big, but white does want to. So like if you get into a variation like this, let's just make a variation where the thickness works. So for instance, something like this, you can see black's going to be pushed towards white's thickness and could potentially get into trouble. So like if we get a position like this, and like this, the black group, it's not going to have room for two eyes. So it's going to be attacked. So that's the kind of direction of play white wants to play. So the Ponuki in itself, if you play well after that, it can it can function. It's just that you have to be very aggressive after you've played this move. So maybe his solid style didn't work well with this capture.
I think that's a good assessment. All right, one more to go. This game is Henry Yu 2P against Yoonyoung Kim 8P. And again,
Okay.
just give us a sec, folks. Take a look at the playing room. This is our Friday night Go Club, and here at the National Go Center. And let's see.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You're gonna put the link in there.
Yeah, I can give you a link.
Yeah, give me a link.
Oh, just a moment. Do you see it now?
I do. It's a good new microphone.
Oh, wait a moment. I might have the wrong link though. Is that working?
Oh, that looks like it might be the same link.
Yeah, that's the wrong link. Sorry.
It's okay. No problem.
I noticed that it was the same number as my previous.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this one? Oh, that's weird. I'm having trouble copying it.
Huh.
That's very weird. Why don't I just give you this one?
It's
That's
probably-
better.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very weird. I'm just keeping. I'll give you the number. So you just changed
hold on,
the
hold on
final
one
number.
sec. Hold on, let me just get it up there. Yeah. So what's the number?
Okay, I sent a message.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether those were all the right link. I might have been doing something wrong there.
No worries. Got it. Okay, why don't you go ahead and roll it back?
And you have to give me control.
Yes, I do. Let me figure that out. A sec. Properties there. Copy. Open that. And you are in there. And control.
Okay, looks like I have control. So I'm going to show you an empty board. You see an empty board here.
Do.
A few moves.
Yep, and give me 2
Okay, great.
seconds. I just need to change the players' names so we have the right names.
So Mr. Kim is white.
Hold on one second.
He's one of the Korean pros who came to America, right?
Miss Kim. Yes.
Oh, Miss Kim. Oh, sorry.
Yep. Hold on one sec. Yes, you are correct. Let me just update the players. Okay, ready to go. We're going to fade in, and we are back. Yes.
Okay, I'll start.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, playing the high Kakari is a way to keep the game relatively simple. People don't pincer anymore nowadays, so quite often you just see black playing this Joseki, which AIs like. Okay, so that's a big move. Sometimes you see white playing an attachment here, and just asking. For the time being, the ladder favors white. So if black does something like this, you get into a really maybe I shouldn't have done this one. You get into complicated very easily. And
That's your
in many
specialty.
cases, yeah, there's a ladder thing with this one. So there's a number of ladders that are relevant. So for instance, there's this ladder that is relevant sometimes. So if black can capture this in the ladder, this is going to be good for black. But the ladder's white's going to win this ladder. So this is a case where you can still use the rule of the Tengen point. If the ladder is going to hit the Tengen point, where black just played, the marked stone there, that's a white stone. So eventually that's going to turn into a white stone when it hits the star point. So the ladder doesn't work for black, which would indicate maybe black has to play here. And so you get into a different, actually white would probably do this. So you can have this kind of fight. When the ladder favors white, there's a number of variations which are sort of troublesome. So like there's also this variation where white plays a double hane. And it's an issue whether white can capture this one in the ladder. So if white can capture that in the ladder, it tends to be good for white. So this ladder works too. This works. This is good for white. So so if black answers here, there's this joseki that AIs tend to like. So sorry, where white gets to finish off the side with
B1 move.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I have a slippery hand today. And then white would have sente to play some other big point. So maybe I would play this one. This is another case where it looks like it's probably okay to play the double hane joseki here.
So you can't see Michael, but Todd is here. Todd says hi. He's bringing me some Irish.
Hello. Oh, Todd, yes.
It's Friday night.
Great. Yeah. So this is something that AIs sometimes suggest you should do. And it could have been played with this move too.
Yeah.
There is a difference. Like so if white plays here and black plays one of these josekis, and white plays here, black's going to have to add a stone eventually. So that can work for white also. But white didn't do that. So when white doesn't do that, it's slightly less efficient in a way, but it also leaves invasions. So there's the three. If white had played all the way here, this would have been aiming at the 3-3 point. So this white c6 works well with the 3-3 point, but it leaves a weakness on this side. So the game move, it doesn't work so well with the 3-3 point. It can still work with this move sometimes. So if white adds another stone here, then white can follow up with this move or this move. So white has various ways to attack the corner.
I have a question about this because I really like, and for a long time I've really liked the big enclosure like that. But it does leave all of those invasion points.
Right. Well, the advantage of this is that it's one line closer to the side. So black's just getting that much more speed in development. And the negative aspects, when white's playing like this, it takes some time for the negative aspects to develop. So it's later in the game. And so especially if you're working with an AI, by that point, the game is, someone's going to win it anyway, as far as the AI is concerned. The further you get into the game, the more confident an AI is about its assessment of the position. And the more, the better the AI gets at winning the game. So, for instance, if you're playing against an AI, by the time you get around to invading that corner, it's too late. That basically. And so that's why I believe AIs prefer this move, because the negative aspects, they take more time to develop. And it's why AIs like to play in this kind of fashion more likely, because this sort of settles, it doesn't wait. It fixes the potential profit more quickly by giving up in this variation that I was showing you, this one. It gives black the corner, so black's gaining corner territory, but white's getting something on the side. So white's making the trade-off earlier in the game, establishing, from the viewpoint of most AIs, this is establishing a more even position than if white leaves it till later.
Thank you.
But as far as humans are concerned, I think either I'd say this move is perfectly valid. I don't see anything really wrong with that. So we saw this in the first game. Was that that was the game Ryan Lee against Michael Chen?
Yep.
So they played the same game. So this move is it's a way of putting pressure on white's group here. So if black gets to slide here next, then the group does not have two eyes. And if white kicks in the corner, and white didn't do that, but if white kicks in the corner here at R4, then there's still a weakness there. So for instance, black can sometimes play here, and white is not completely alive in the corner, and then black can play here, and there's the cut at P3 and the capture at R3. So this is an example of it turning bad for white. If white plays here, and we say something like this happens, this is not a living shape. It's actually not alive as it stands. White can get a ko in the corner, but if white tries to live, it will involve sacrificing the outside stone. This would be alive, but white would lose the outside stone. So there's issues there. There's also this way of playing, which would create some forcing moves for black. Eventually, this would be forcing too. So you can see how black is, even if white kicks once at R4, the corner is vulnerable to being squeezed. And so that's why you see strong players continuing like this. So this would be the local way, the default move for white. Although it looks passive, it is taking away the eye shape of this group. So next, white can play here, and the black group is not alive as it stands. Black has to do something to make that a living shape. So it's not going to die, but it's not strictly alive yet. So there's some potential for white to squeeze it a little bit. Or if black plays on the other side, when white invades this side, this stone here is very important point, which takes away the base from black stone at M3. Yeah, that would be a point where if black had played at O3, black would have something very close to a living shape. So although white's two moves here, they might look slow, they are a very significant, they set up potential attacks both on the right side and on the bottom side. So this was a way white could have continued. Instead, white plays here and black slides. Yeah, so that makes sense. The way black has continued after playing at M3, black slides here. It makes sense. Okay, I sort of doubt this move. It's really hard to say, but I think it would be okay for black to crawl and connect, or maybe play here. And so with this variation, oh, sorry. Yeah, I have. So in this variation, black has black has the forcing moves from this side. Black has this two great points here. So both O6 and O3, these are points that are really valuable for black to be able to take. Black really wants to be playing from this side. So the issue with this opening is that black has to be careful about this wide extension that black's played on the bottom side. And the general idea is that by attacking white in the lower right corner, black is reducing the risk of white invading the bottom side. So moves like this or this, they're really important in reinforcing the black group. And you can see the black group is in this position. The black group on the bottom side is stronger than white's group in the lower right corner. And that's why black played here. So I think it's probably better for black to have simply defended the right side and left the option of playing these 2 points on the O line, which are both splendid points that black wants to play at some point. So if white doesn't do anything on the bottom side, black can continue with a move like this, or a move like this. I think with that white stone at C7 on the left side, maybe black's not going to immediately go up to the 5th line, but maybe going to play here. And this would be putting some pressure on white. So next black plays here, and the white group, it really looks like it's starting to get into trouble.
Pretty severe move.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised to see white play something like this and just sort of reduce the value of the lower side while creating some potential towards the center. So stuff like this. And then black can switch to the top side. So something like this, for instance. This is the variation, the idea that black had when black played M3 and continue with S3. So I think it was okay for black to follow that line. Okay, so the problem with this is that when white extends here, black's not finished on the right side. So at some point, black would have to defend the right side. And whichever side black plays a kotsumi, there's always the attachment here, which can be a problem later on. It's going to be an issue. So in this case, there's the issue of this.
I have it's a technical question. Maybe it's you're a 2P, you're playing an 8P, and you're starting a fight. Good idea. Good idea. Not good idea. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So like, even in the last few decades, the difference between lower ranked pros and high ranked pros has decreased. So, in the old times, I mean, before 400 years ago, 300 years ago, 200 years ago, in the Edo era, the professional ranks there was a handicap system within the professional ranks. So the Meijin was a 9-dan, and he gave no komi so the 7-dan player would take black against the Meijin all of the time. And then a 5-dan would be taking 2 stones against the Meijin. A 3-dan player would be taking 3 stones against. So within what seemed to be professional ranks, there's actually a huge difference in strength. And this became smaller and smaller as history progressed. In the 20th century, there was still a distinct difference between a 9-dan and a shodan. But that's not the case anymore. Part of it is the accelerated learning that young players get from AIs. It allows them to get stronger quicker. And there's also the fact that the tournament system it seeds players. So when I was a new pro, I could win the first section, 4 straight wins. I win the first section. I move up into the second section. 3 straight wins would win the second section. There's usually a third section before I get to the final stage of the tournament. I could do all of that, win all and next year, if I lost at some point before the semifinals of the tournament or something like that, I would be back at round 1. And so, like I was talking about opportunities to play strong players earlier today, and that's really important. So the younger players, when they win their way into the final or even intermediate rounds of a tournament, that's where they're seeded the next year in that particular tournament. And so they can establish seeds throughout the tournament. So it doesn't have to be the final stages of the tournament. Even if they just win something like 3 games, they're already at a different stage next year. And they've established that. So they get more opportunities. So it's not only the AI learning that they do. The research with AIs is very valuable. There's also the fact that tournaments give them more opportunities to get valuable experience. So the younger players are very competitive, and they have opportunities to equal 9-dan strength. So there's the difference between ranks is much smaller than it used to. In fact, it's non-existent.
Got it. That makes sense. Thank you.
So yeah, I disagree with pushing through and cutting here. And white playing this first. Now, the problem with this move that I was showing is that in this case, the black surrounding white in the corner, or black surrounding the white stones on the outside, it looks very dangerous for white. So I think this is a sensible approach where white is getting some space before extending here. And although this exchange, it gave black some profit towards the bottom side. Basically, if black is cut here, white's probably going to feel satisfied with this fight if black can capture this black stone, because black's invested a lot. Not only is black invested the cutting stone, but black's position on the right side, even if black adds a stone here, it's really degraded. So in this variation, even if white just does something like this, there's that attachment. So like if white plays, at some point, if white plays a move like this, for instance, would be one way to, and black can't. So there's this kind of issue that happens later. or white can do it this way sometimes. So there's all sorts of problems. So like later in the game, maybe white's going to play like this, and then if we get this shape, it's more problems. So like in this case, white has this move,
Ooh.
and whichever side black bumps against it. So there's various ways white can take advantage of a weakness in black's shape there when black is forced to play a Kosumi on the second line. So if black has to back out of this fight, white's idea with playing m4 is that if white wins the fight and captures that stone at p6, it's probably good for white. And I agree with that. So black played here. Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? Okay, so for the time being, black is sort of alive in the corner. It's alive enough to be alive. Sometimes you have to be careful about that, but it's okay for the time being. Okay, so now white is... so like if white had played here, then this would have been a kind of a fight to the death. But there's the fact that if white plays here and here, black has to defend the corner. So if we assume a shape like this, the white group is not dead as it stands. It's sort of like it's one eye plus a ko for the second eye, something like that. And it means that white also has moves like this, which can do stuff in the center. White would probably start with the center first, but the point is that it's not likely that the white group is going to die outright. So white could have played at Q8 and taken the profit on the right side. In the game, white's idea is that if white can get some profit towards the bottom side, maybe white can go with a trade. So I think the problem here came later. I think up to this point, it's okay for white. Even if white just does something like this. White's getting some profit towards the center. And so like the move that I feel comfortable with playing is this one. White's getting profit towards the center. Black's lower side is degraded. Even if black does something like this, this kind of thing, it's going to connect to some potential profit towards the corner. So like if black plays something like this, we can see the bottom side getting into trouble. If black plays something like this, so the corner is safe. White still does have moves like this, which would capture the lower side on a small scale. Or otherwise it would be, this way, it would be very painful for black. Capturing the 3 stones, we don't really know if that's how important that is. So maybe white would be continuing with the center. So like something like this would be an idea. White has forcing moves from this side.
It's a really nice framework for white, isn't it?
Right. So the way white played in a fashion to sort of sacrifice these 5 stones, I would have liked to try to save them, but I can see this way is sort of working also. So it's not necessarily bad. In fact, I think this is probably looking promising for white.
Yeah, I really like it. I wouldn't do it, but I like it.
Right. So this is a much more complicated way for white to try to take advantage of that, because black's going to escape in between the 2 white groups. So in this variation, it's much more messy, more weak groups, more dangerous for white. What I don't get is this variation where white failed. White should just play an Atari here. And I don't understand why this move was not played, because I have a very bad feeling about black connecting here. It looks bad. It looks so... It looks very dangerous. I'm pretty sure something bad is going to happen to black in this variation. It just looks too dangerous. Oh, even the ladder favors white. So if black does this, black can't capture in the ladder. That white stone is there. So in this variation, white already has 4 liberties, and black has 3 liberties. White's winning the semi. If black plays something like this, you can see this is working for white. So if white plays the Atari here, I would. I have a very bad feeling about black connecting here. It means maybe black's going to play here. So white doesn't have to answer the peep. White could play something on this side. So I don't understand this. So this is. I'm pretty sure white messed up with this move. It's just not. It's not a clean way of taking advantage. Black has just peeped here. So if white can play here and force black to play here, white has gained a move basically. And when you compare to white connecting.
Yeah. But 08 is, it looks stylish, doesn't it?
It's the weakness in black's shape, but
Sure.
like white forgot the original plan was to she forgot that she had sacrificed those 5 stones, and this is a position where white has escalated the fight on the bottom side by invading at h3, making it a dangerous fight for white also. So white has to just forget those 5 stones and just keep sacrificing them and keeping white's groups strong is a winning strategy. Like I think white has potential to be able to win this position just by doing that. Whereas this really complicates things because white has a group on the bottom side, white has the group coming out of the corner, and now white has a group on the right side. I don't see how white can make it work for all 3 groups. So you have to choose which group you're going to. Obviously, white already chose to sacrifice the right side, so white should not be moving from that group. It's just the wrong direction. The most dangerous way for white to play. And now white has. So white's worried about that cut at L6 there. And white doesn't really have a good way to get rid of it. So white plays here. You can see how this is damaging white on the bottom side. So white's, they call it kyodai genka, or a family quarrel.
I like that.
The brothers are quarreling with each other. So the white group in the corner is quarreling from. So that's not the way white wanted to deal with that. The peep here, white wanted to be able to deal with it cleanly like this, and white could play from the other side. So whatever white does,
Did the Atari feel
this would be okay.
Obvious?
This would be okay. In this case, white, there's no problem. And there's still the Aji there with, for instance, pushing through and cutting at Q8 or peeping here. There's all this stuff where white can get some potential profit by sacrificing these 5 stones. And I would think that when she originally sacrificed them, she was aware that she had these potential. She just got excited by the fight that she started on the bottom side and seemed to forget.
I've noticed, I wanted to ask you about this because you have so much tournament experience. So we've been playing since Thursday, 2 rounds a day, morning round, afternoon round, a couple hours in between. And I've noticed a real difference. Like the first round, I think it was a half-point game, 1.5 game, and then the second round, all resignations. So just, and I know we're running long here, but could you just talk a little bit about if you're playing 2 games, these are serious games, $20,000 in prizes, which is a lot for us. How do you handle that?
How do you handle it? There's no way to handle it because you have to play seriously. You have to prepare physically, basically. I think that's the bottom line. Age is relevant to a great deal. Like I'm in my 60s, and sometimes I have to play 2 games a day, actually sometimes I have to play 3 tournament games a day.
Oh my God.
And it's too much. So I definitely feel that I'm not playing at the same level.
Wow. I was hoping you were going to give me better news, but okay.
Well, yeah, you introduced me to workouts several years ago.
I did.
And I think that's if you have physical strength, it makes a huge difference.
Yes, that's true. Even for us senior citizens.
Okay, so white's showing the Tetsuji here. If black cuts, then white can capture in a snapback. So yes, that was useful. So it's very important to be able to play the active move here because stuff is happening on the right side. Turns out black is still, it's not easy for black. Yeah, sorry about that. And so black cuts, extends. It's a wild fight. Okay. Okay,
Jesus
so
Christ.
black's group in the corner. So black has this territory. It's safe enough. Like there's stuff that I can imagine happening, but it's still white still needs some preparation on the outside, and it's not likely. So we'll call that a territory. Black does have a forcing move here, which means that black's group on the bottom side, it looks like it has one eye, has a potential eye here. And of course, black's out. If black plays something like this, then there's start to be some issues with white's connection from the bottom side to the left side. So white can handle that with a moves like this sometimes, but black does have some potential to move in that direction. So I'd say the black groups on the bottom side of the board are pretty safe for the time being. Black's group in the center depends on capturing white's stones. So white's back to the original idea, but you can see how this is backfired for white, because in the variation I was showing you, let's see if I can find it and show you again. So there's this variation here, somewhere around here. No, not that one. This variation.
Oh,
sorry.
Michael,
I'm jumping around here.
It's a really good question coming out of that conversation we just had. So what's the longest game that you've played? Probably a number of years ago, and they had those really long games.
If we're talking about number of moves, I've probably not done something.
Hours.
Oh, hours. Oh, well, when I was a young pro, we had something called the OTI, which gave.
I remember the OTI. That's right.
Yeah, so that was the promotion tournament, and there was a game that I played. The game started at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the players had the time limits were very generous. So we had 6 hours apiece, and 1 minute per move after that. And the game lasted to about 3 o'clock in the morning.
You were a younger man, weren't you?
Yeah, and then I was so upset that I lost that I tried to walk home, but I didn't quite get back. I think the train started before I got home.
All right, folks, there's your answer. Wow.
Yeah.
They don't do those anymore, though, do they?
Excuse me?
They don't have those kind of time limits anymore. Nobody plays.
Oh, yeah, the OTI eventually got shorter, but then it disappeared, so they don't have the OTI anymore.
I don't think
people promote by their tournament wins now.
Yeah. Too bad. Sorry, back to the game. Sorry.
Okay, so I was showing you this variation where white just sacrificed the right side and played a bit more softly towards the bottom side and established presence in the center of the board. So I'd call this a winning variation for white. And in the game, in this variation, white still lost the group on the right side, right? So white's still going to lose that group probably. It's not decisive. Let's see, what did white do? Yeah, so white's in trouble on the bottom side, white's in trouble on the right side. White's in trouble all over the place. So actually looks like white can save the right side if white plays here.
I was just reading that.
Using the wrong tool here.
Yep. It's kind of a ladder kind of a situation.
So this would be a case where white has saved the right side. Looks like white's going to lose 3 stones in the center. So that would be a potential trade. It's probably not so good for white. Okay. And white has this. So white has so many issues here. So that's the problem with the way white played here. Okay. So let's see where white. So white's continuing the fight in the center. And black defended the right side. So with this move, black has won the semi. If white pushes through and cuts here, black is winning the semi here. So this isn't even forcing. So that's how black is winning the semi. So by adding this stone, black has dealt with the threat of a cut. And white played. Where did white play? White played here. And black played here. So looks like white's having trouble. White's having trouble closing off the center. So white played here. This was an opportunity for black. So black really wants to fill a liberty in the semi. So black should just push through here and fill the liberty. So if black does this, not only is black going to probably is going to capture this stone too, but black has filled the liberty, improving the semi. So it improves the semi when white does something like that and somehow manages to surround the black group. Without that exchange, the problem was that if white played here, it looks like black can, for instance, black can do this maybe. And if white plays here, black can capture the 3 stones. So maybe that's what white didn't like. And white's trying to get this exchange. But by playing that, black's filled the liberty. So now black can just allow white. And black's winning the semi already. So this was better for black. Maybe black doesn't want to do that. Maybe black just plays, let's see, where should black play?
Don't ask me, dude.
Black can just leave it.
Wow. Just leave it.
Yeah, black's winning by 1 move. So black could play on this side. This looks better. So filling a liberty was important. And in the game, this way, white got some extra forcing moves. And this worked really well for white. So for instance, I think the idea was that if black tries to break out here,
oh dear.
Maybe something like this would be bad.
Yep. It would be bad.
So that's what white was doing with this move.
You all read that out, right?
I only happened on that for you.
No, I know. You read it out. I was making sure the viewers read it out too.
So black won by 1 move, but this was a squeeze. And what's more, so this exchange on the right side with these 2 white stones for these 2 black stones, it would never happen after the semi was finished. So like if black had, if we imagine a black stone played here, then there's no way black's going to play these moves against these 2 white moves. So white got a huge Kikashi there and gained by cutting on the 3rd line, plus a complete squeeze from the center. So this ended up being a success for white. And so white really went the dangerous way there. I just feel like showing you that variation again if I can find it. I'm doing too much, I suppose. So it's later in the game, yeah. So it's sort of this variation, but before that. So it must be this one. No, not that one. This one, yeah. So this variation again. So like this kind of thing where white maybe plays here. This variation is so much more clean and better. I'm pretty sure this was the way white should have played. In the game, white did it in a very roundabout way and got into trouble. But at this point, when white got to cut on the 3rd line, sorry, I keep going into the variations. When white got to cut on the 3rd line, finally at this point, it's a success for white. So white got in this case, the moyo that white potentially had on the left side completely disappeared. But all of white's groups are healthy now because white's got a complete squeeze from the center. So everything is forcing. This means that not only is white connected up in the center, white also has, with all of the squeezing moves, forcing. So all of these points, you can imagine white stones on all of these points. It's going to be easy for white to make 2 eyes on the bottom side too. So white's going to be able to make eyes there. So not only is white connected, but white doesn't have to sustain that connection because white's going to be alive. So this is already a win for white. I think that white sort of coasted to a win after this.
Mm-hmm.
So black was hoping to cut here. And kill the whole white group like this. So that's what black was doing with that. And yeah. So it would have been, this would have been an opportunity actually, instead of cutting here. It would have been an opportunity for white to try to find some forcing move against the corner. So like, for instance, something like this. A variation like this would be one way for white to reinforce that area, which seems a reasonable way to play. So or otherwise, if that looks a bit too fancy for you, you could just play here. Black's not going to ignore that. black's probably going to play something like this. So if black plays a diagonal move, white also plays it, and this creates problems for black. This could be fun, but it's gonna there's gonna be some black backlash against black's group on the side too. So it's gonna be dangerous for black to do this kind of stuff. So I would expect black plays something passive, and that's why I would want to play a bit further. Something like this, just adding some stones there. It looks like it would give white some extra security. So maybe white should have done that. So black's trying to take advantage of that. Yeah. And so white didn't do that, but played the forcing move here. And yeah, so capturing. Wow. So yeah. That was probably good enough for white, capturing the corner. And that was big. White lost the left side, but it's worth it. Wow. Okay. Yeah. This looks like it's white sort of coasting to a victory here. And you see the fact that white has a potential living shape on the bottom side means that white doesn't have to get upset when black plays a peep like that. At the black's peep at J11, it wasn't forcing. Yeah, I think whatever white does, we're in a winning variation for white at this point.
Yeah,
but it's getting exciting, isn't it? There's doing a ko.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing happening there.
Yeah,
the best black can hope for is the second.
You could see her professional level and how calm she was. I was very surprised. She lost the second game yesterday and then the first game this morning, but she came back strong in the afternoon. And she was I like her style.
Well, it looks like she's a strong fighter, but like this point, this is the point where I really doubt the way white continued. Yeah, I question that. So, but after that, she does seem to realize after she's got the squeeze in the center. I think white it's very important to be able to know for sure that you're winning when you're ahead.
Right.
So the ability to assess the position and say I'm going to win this, and so towards the end of the game, the way white played seemed to indicate that white knows that this is a winning variation. So I'd say all of white's moves after this, I sort of get the feeling that white is happy with what's going on. Yeah. So it's important to be able to know that and play accordingly. Especially in games when there's a clock. You have to be able to use. So if you try to play the best move every time, sometimes you run into time trouble.
Definitely. Well, Michael, this has been a real treat, certainly for the viewers who have been loving this. It's good to have you back, and it's for me. We haven't talked in a while, so hopefully we'll do more of these. And I want to get back and talk more about your channel, which has been doing terrific work, and also about what's going on competition-wise. But we'll leave that for next time. But I want to appreciate you spending your Saturday morning with us, Friday night for us. And you got any tournaments coming up?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, there's a TV tournament. I'm probably not supposed to talk about it too much, but I do have a game with Chochkun coming up, and I was wondering if I'd have a chance to play him again. I played a number of games with Chochkun, and he's always been one of my favorite players in modern Go. His relentless fighting style, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'll try not to get beat up too bad.
Well, as you were saying, just to get to play a legend like Shochi-kun, that's fabulous. So
It's a great
congratulations.
experience. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I will see you next month in Vancouver. I'm really looking forward to
Hmm.
the World
Yeah.
Amateur Go Championships.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be there. I'll be a ref.
Oh, that's a fun gig. You get to enjoy all the stuff, and you don't have to play.
I don't have to play. Yeah. None of the pain.
I think we might
Just
have to play
watching.
a few friendship games, which are always
I
fun.
definitely will be. I'll be doing. I'll be around.
Good,
There's probably going to be some teaching games set up too.
good, good. All right, we'll see if we can hook up some interviews then too. Michael Redmond, folks, good to see you, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Just a reminder: 10 a.m. tomorrow, round 5. I do know if Bill Lynn wins, he's got the top prize. If he loses, I don't know what happens. So tune in at 10 a.m. on YouTube and Twitter, and we will find out what happens. Thanks again, Michael. Really appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, perfect. Let me just stop the YouTube.